Let's go over some tips you must know in Dynasty or you're missing out. We're going to go over about 6 to 7 tips that you honestly should know if you're playing Dynasty consistently, man. From recruiting to coach builds, a little bit everything in this video for you guys. So the first thing I want to cover is position change week in the offseason, man. If you didn't know at this point, this is probably the most important week of the whole entire offseason, man. More important than training results, obviously, but even more important than the transfer portal, especially when the transfer portal is oftentimes underwhelming. This position change can either make or break your next season, man. This is the last week before training results. So if you move players around to whatever you need on your team, when you actually advance to training results, then your team will actually get a major boost. And even if you moving guys to positions that don't make sense, we did a rebuild. I'm gonna keep bringing it up where we did quarterbacks only. It was athletes, regular quarterbacks. We did a little bit of everything, and it was able to move them to other positions. Sometimes they converted to a 22 overall. But with training results, they will shoot up in overall and actually be usable, whether it's O-line, D-line, whatever. So just be aware of position changes and just don't skip by it, man. One of the most important weeks. You could finesse the tight end position, man. We all know vertical threat tight ends are not the best. Well, position change week, if you have a tight end that's either maxed out, not the best, vertical threat where they don't develop, well, guess what? If you just move them over to O-line and move them back, you could, finesse them and their overall is going to shoot up, and then you just move them back over to tight end and they'll be a great player. So if you need a center, we might need a center right here. He's only a 79 overall. Well, guess what? We could move someone over there and they might shoot up in overall. We can move a defensive player over to offense and they'll shoot up in overall. So please just be aware, man. You got to know the best position changes. And it's something you gotta know, man. Even like the safeties, hyper safeties, obviously no go. Move them over the corner. We got a hyper safety right here. Move him to corner. He's going to turn into a man corner. We can even move him to linebacker if we want to get a super fast linebacker. But you just want to make sure you're doing some of this stuff, man. You don't want any hyper safeties on your team. Even if you're going to keep this guy starting at safety, you're better off moving him over the corner just so he develops better, man. And the best situation with these hyper safeties, we see one, we got one right here. You go to move him and he convert to a slot corner. That's going to be your best bet, man, because slot corners develop the best. That's also another point, man. You just got to know the best archetypes and pit players in positions to succeed, man. You could have a wide receiver max out at a 75 overall. Well, guess what? If you move him over to defense, cornerback, maybe even D-line, they could be a phenomenal player. They could be an 80+ overall, man. The skill caps at every single position feels different. They're all actually the same. The skill caps are the same, but it just feels different because wide receiver is a position. If you have horrible skill caps, you're going to feel it. Like that player is never going to be able to get to a high overall. Compared to D-line, if a player has horrible skill caps, he still could get to a high overall. It might not make sense, but trust me, that's how it works in this game. On the same topic, please be aware of the speed rushing outside linebacker, man. Be aware of it because it could be annoying, but also it could be very useful. For example, we have this middle linebacker. He's a freshman, 75 overall. If we move him to speed rushing left outside linebacker, he's going to convert to a 77 overall. But the main reason you would do this is because he's not going to be able to spend any of his skill points, man. This, as y'all know, at this point, this archetype is glitched. When you move a guy to the speed rusher, they seem to develop faster. And then when you move them back over to whatever position, whether it's middle linebacker, wherever you want to move them back over to, they'll use all their skill points at once, man. So just be aware of the speed rush middle linebacker. It could be either a finesse for you or it could be frustrating if you actually want outside linebacker. And it's like, yo, why is my linebacker not developing? He's a speed rusher. You got to move him to another position. That goes on to my next point, and it's more focused on recruiting. You got to know the best archetypes, man. Just know the best archetypes. Whether you watch some of my videos, you want to tap into the ebook/membership, it's all on a PDF for you. It's all on a spreadsheet. First link down in the description, tap in. But no matter how you figure it out, you just got to know. And, you got to know that the athlete middle linebacker is a must. Every single class, you probably should be recruiting 3, 4, 5. Seriously, though, like whatever you need. If you need D lineman, go after the athlete middle linebacker. If you need edge rusher, athlete middle linebacker. If you need safety, athlete middle linebacker. If you need whatever. Anything on defense, except for really D tackle, you could go D tackle, but I wouldn't suggest it. Get this athlete middle linebacker. They can even play corner. They just the best archetype in this entire game. So please Keep that in mind, man. Don't forget about these guys right here. It's only a few 4-stars of them in each class. You should be going after, you know, as many as you can at the 4 or 5-star level. And like I said, I have plenty of videos on my channel going over like the best archetypes, like I said, the best everything to do, position changes. Plenty of videos on my channel if you want to go through and watch them if y'all haven't already. But like I said, the ebook is just a one-stop shop, so you don't have to watch all the videos. You just get all the information at once. Next, I just want to touch on playbooks, man. If you're doing any type of simming, whether you playing the moments or you just full sim, this matters. Playbooks matters a lot, man. Your offense, defensive playbook. If you want the most sacks, from my experience of late, this 3-3-5 tilt defense has been producing a lot of sacks. I can't speak for the 3-2-6, 3-4, the 3-3-5 tilt. If I want a lot of sacks for my defense, this is the playbook I'm pulling out for simulation, at least for simulation, man. We're getting a lot of stops. I also believe this is a very popular defensive playbook in online play as well. Y'all let me know down below. But as well as offensive playbook. If you want a guy that's going to win the Heisman, put up good numbers, well, guess what? Just who constantly win Heismans in your dynasty? Is it constantly LSU quarterback, Clemson quarterback, USC quarterback? Well, most likely you want to put those playbooks on. So whoever you constantly see winning the Heisman, put those playbooks on, man. Those are some of the better playbooks. And you can win the Heisman with, you know, I don't want to say any playbook, but a lot of playbooks you can get a Heisman Trophy winner. But some playbooks are absolutely trash. So just keep in mind, man, simming playbooks matter a lot. Now, when it comes to your coach build, man, honestly, there's 100 different ways you could go with it. You know, one of my favorite coach builds is going to be this right here, the Super Recruiter. 9 times out of 10, this is an impossible coach build to get. Or maybe I shouldn't say impossible. It's very difficult. You know, you have to do a lot to win this coach build. You have to, or get this coach build. You have to get 2 top 5 recruiting classes. Then you got to come in here, the program builder, unlock that. You get the relationships and then also the strong roots. But this is a dominant recruiting coach build, man. Then we also have the instant commit chance. Like, we are recruiting everything. We are getting every single 5-star. I literally signed 35 stars with this coach build. But for your offense and defensive coordinators, honestly, this is probably my favorite, man. These guys right here. You know, the best 3 archetypes in the game, in my opinion, recruiter, tactician, and motivator. That's all you need. That's really all you need. So I love these coordinators, man. I just have these 3 maxed out. I don't need the architect. I don't need the, you know, strategist and time developer. I don't need that when I have a coach build like this where I'm just focused on recruiting. And if I'm bringing in nothing but 5 stars and 4 stars gems, none of this other stuff really matters, honestly, man. None of it really matters. So, like I said, this is one of my favorite coach builds. If I'm not going with this coach build right here, I'm going with one of these coach builds for my head coach, where I'm just maxing out recruiter, tactician, and motivator, because, like I said, I believe those are really the best 3 archetypes in the game. If you want to go into architect, strategist, time developer, I get it. But like I said, I believe these are just the best coach builds. So when you come in here to edit your coach, some of this stuff matters as well, man. The offense and defensive aggressiveness matters. How much? Not quite sure. I still need to do a little bit of testing, man. Speaking of testing, we just tested to see if height and weight matters. And check that video out if you haven't already, man. We tested that yesterday, and it was interesting. But I believe this also matters. The offense and defense aggressiveness. From what I heard, this has to do with like how the computer plays against you, man. So I had to do some testing to see what one do all the way up to 100, but I believe it do matter. I just don't want to lie to y'all and say how much it actually matters. Also, the adaptive AI also matters. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure how much, but I believe if you put it on aggressive, that's going to lead the AI to be more aggressive. What do that mean? Aggressive with gameplay or aggressive with recruiting? Not clear. I wish it was, but it's not clear, man. But I believe that also matters in this game. So just keep that in mind. One last thing with the coach build. If you want a coach that's going to level up super fast, I don't know what it is, but when you go into motivator first, it just seems like they level up faster. I have no idea why, but they just level up a lot faster when you go into motivator first. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. Everyone usually goes into, you know, recruiter first because it's fun. Everyone, you know, love a good recruiter. But when you go into motivator, for some reason, they just level up a lot faster. And you could come in here and look at actually what makes my coach level up. You know, come in here and look. Another thing, when it comes to red shirting, man, redshirt all your freshmen, especially if they're going to not be a starter. Like, unless he's really the best player at that position, redshirt your freshman. Get that extra year out of him, man. No, not much to talk about. Just redshirt your freshman. Also, be aware of your traits. How you check player traits, man. Press triangle on them. Come over here to stats, and we'll be super quick with this because I covered it a few times. Come over here to traits, and you just see which traits your player have, man. He has a tight spiral, so he should be, you know, throwing a solid ball pretty consistently. He also is conservative with his decision making, so he's not going to take shots down the field. He's paranoid with his sense of pressure. What this tells me is when he gets any type of pressure in the pocket, he is more likely to throw a bad ball off any type pressure. That's how I interpret this paranoid trait. So I believe this matters with actually gameplay and then also simulation. So if you want a guy to win the Heisman, you might not want him to be conservative with the decision making because he's not going to put up a lot of yards, at least not when you're simulating. When you use him, this decision making probably do not matter much. So just be aware of this, man. Be conscious of it and check it if you wonder why a player with good stats not playing bad. Well, he might have some weird traits. Another thing, overall, man, be conscious. You know, just don't always start the highest overall player. Please look at actual attributes, man. Look at the attributes and decide who you want to start, man. Just don't go with the highest overall because you will be surprised, man. Like, for example, power backs. A lot of times power backs don't develop as well as the other running backs, but a lot of times they'll have like the best actual stats when you look at them. So please just look at stats more so than overalls. One last thing before we get out of here is auto subs, man. Auto subs, if you're playing every game, you want to have some pretty good auto subs. I'll show y'all what I use in my dynasties. And this is a dynasty where I want to run the ball a little bit, man. I want to have different running backs in. You know, with this auto subs, I'm usually getting 4 running backs with carries in one game. You know, if you just have normal auto subs, you're going to have 1, maybe 2 running backs getting carries. So, you know, if you like that, the idea of that, check out these auto subs. Try it. Let me know what you think. These are defensive auto subs. We have the D tackles coming in and out, D ends, you know, and this is for a team that has, you know, some pretty good players. If you are rebuilding dynasty and your team sucks except for your starters, you might not want all these auto subs. But with my running back room for my Temple dynasty before this past year, we had a phenomenal running back room. So I wanted everyone to get carries. So that's why these auto subs, what they were. And then last thing we'll talk about is sliders, man. I honestly have not found good sliders. I probably need to do a profile reset, and maybe you do too. Profile reset, and then kind of just reset your whole entire thing. I might drop a video on how to actually do it, but I probably need to do a profile reset because I have yet to do one all year, man. I've yet to do one all year. But so I just rock out with default Heisman, man. I do not use any type auto sub or any type sliders at all. Just default Heisman has been getting it done for me all year. Every time I put some auto subs out there or put some sliders out there and use them, I don't like them, so I stay away from them, man. I also put my XP slider on slower because, like I said, with Motivator, I feel like we upgrade a little bit too quick, so I put that down slower. But other than that, we're a community. Let me know anything I missed down below. Any tips, tricks that could help me out, anyone else out. Also, if y'all enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Check out the ebook/membership. We also have a free email list that's a monthly email with a dynasty challenge of the month. Also, you know, my 32 user online dynasty, if you want to join that, I'll send an email to the link through that email to the dynasty. If you're interested in that, check it out. Other than that, click the video on the screen now for my Baylor quarterbacks only rebuild.